Hello, everybody. This is Ethan Sears, New York Post Islanders reporter out here in Anaheim. We're about 48 hours on the dot away from the NHL trade deadline. And here's just a quick look at what we're tracking here with the Islanders as they head toward Friday. A few names had been sort of publicly connected to the Islanders in the last day or two. That's Connor Garland from Vancouver. That's Jordan Kyrou from St. Louis. That's Robert Thomas, also from St. Louis. And what's interesting to me, all three of these guys have term. All three of these guys, with maybe the exception of Garland, or yes, with the exception of Garland, would just kind of require a fairly big price as far as what the return would be. So the question to me is Matthew Darsh going to be willing to part, not only with a first round pick, but, maybe with a high end prospect with a Victor Eklund or a Kashawn Aitchison. Um, that's sort of the guys that you need to start thinking about when you are throwing a name like Jordan Kyrou out there. Um, and what's interesting, right, with the Islanders, they're on this sort of two-track approach that I've written about a lot, where the goal is to make the playoffs this year. They've obviously performed very well this year, but they also need to consider the long term, right? Matthew Schaefer is only 18. They've got these prospects. They want to be a competitive team for a very, very long time. So how do you sort of balance that going into the trade deadline? What do you think is worth it? And, I wouldn't really be surprised either way here. I wouldn't be surprised if other teams kind of just are able to beat their offers for those guys. And if that's the case, then does Darsh sort of look at the rental market, which isn't super inspiring this year. And if you're looking at that, you're probably looking at guys who are further down the lineup, who are not sort of substantially changing the equation for this team the way some of those guys I mentioned earlier might. So that's sort of where things stand right now, and hopefully nothing changes by the time this video posts. But things can move fast here.